Welcome to the Stan Collymore Show and welcome to our new studio. This week we start the show in Dortmund, Germany. When it comes to designing football boots for the world's hoi polloi, the biggest superstars, Pierre Navarro is the leading man. He makes some incredible custom designs for the likes of Didier Drogba, Romelu Lukaku and man of the hour, Pierre Aubameyang. Let's have a look.
As an artist, I'm free to do whatever I want on a pair of shoes. The internal designers are obliged to follow some rules. And as an external artist, you don't have any rules to follow. So you are free to let your creativity speak.
Pierre is having a discussion with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who we believe is talking to Arsenal about a move from Borussia Dortmund to Arsenal for €60 million. Will that mean we won't be able to see him? We don't know. But Pierre's having a conversation, he might come and say hello.
One guy came to me one day and said, okay, I need a pair of full crystal boots for my regular weekly game with my friend. You know, he
so
bought
just on
me
a Sunday morning game.
A Tuesday evening game.
Yeah.
You know,
full crystal.
He bought me a pair of full crystal shoes just to play his classic game with his friends on Tuesday night.
So Pierre, we're waiting for Pierre Aubameyang, but in the meantime, we've got some of your incredible creations.
I never use machine to customize shoes, so everything is handmade. And it's truly important for me because you cannot say it's a piece of art if it's not handmade for me. You know, if it's made by a machine, it's not a piece of art anymore.
And would players wear these, or would these be for players to keep themselves as a keepsake? Because
I always ask my client to wear the shoes because that's the first utility of the creation of the shoes itself. You have to wear it, and it's a part of the history also of the shoe.
Tell us about this one, because this is obviously a sneaker, a sort of classic one. There's a ghetto blaster there. It's a very street scene. This has a lot of importance to you personally.
Yeah. It's the very first pair of crystallized sneaker I made. It was in 2006, and at the time nobody was doing it. Not Louboutin or Zanotti, nobody was doing it. And at the time I decided to do it for for a custom competition organized by Nike and
this was where, in the United States, in Vegas?
Yeah, in Vegas, yeah. I wanted to have some shoes linked to the city itself of Las Vegas, you know, with sparkles on it. But, you know, at the time it was really strange to put crystals on a pair of men's shoes. So I decided to put the Ghetto Blaster inspired design.
Got bottles
to make it more men, even if it's made with crystals, and it works.
You started in what, 2006-07?
Yeah.
So we're 11, 12 years later. How many pairs of football boots and rugby boots and tennis shoes have you done so far?
Probably close to 5,000. 5,000, yeah, I think.
And do you have repeat clients, players and people that keep coming back for
of course,
even more exotic ideas?
Yeah. I got some clients, regular clients. Some others come to me only once a year. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, 3 years, 5 years, but they always come back.
Do you wear your own designs? Have you got some Pierre Navarro design for Pierre Navarro?
Yes, sometimes yes. And I prefer to use my time to do things for others. It's a passion and it's a must. I must create.
Finally, of course, the World Cup is in Russia in June. I guess the hope is that out of the 500-600 players that are going to be at the World Cup, some of them will be wearing your designs.
Hopefully. I work already with brands like Adidas, for example. We will probably do something for the World Cup.
You make clothes as well. I know that Pierre has got some Swarovski crystals. Would you make a nice arty Stan Collymore show jacket for me?
Yeah, if you want, yeah.
Fantastic. Deal. Sold.
Okay.
So I think that what we're going to do is we're going to make some Stan Collymore show special boots.
I will make it really simple. Just inspired by the logo of your show.
Now, where do we start?
I will just took some details of the logo and try to put it on the shoes itself.
Okay. So we have the Stan Collymore show. That's the logo. We've got orange there. We can pick out little different colours. How do you envisage this this boot looking?
I will take the color.
Okay, the orange.
We will also do this, because I think it's the major part of the logo. Not follow exactly the dimension of everything, and just do it, but handmade.
No good artist is without a brush. We've got bleu.
First, you need to
Can I help? Can I do the other one?
If you want.
Okay. And why do you do this? Because this little...
Yeah, because then the painting lasts longer. So then we got the logo here.
Aha! So there you go, look, Stan Collymore show logo. So we've got the orange, we've got green, we've got the font.
Yeah.
And we've obviously, you cut the font out already, okay?
So due to the fact that it's a very special design, then I use this. First, we will do this. Then,
wow, we've got the... That was my game, you know, quick, vitesse, pace, avant-centre.
I put some special ads in it, just to make it stronger, to make it more flexible, and to reinforce the painting itself. Everything I'm doing now, I learn it from myself, and I think it's the best way.
You've never been trained formally at art school?
No art school, nothing. I learned everything by myself. So it means that most of the time you made mistake, but you learn from the mistake. For me, it's the best school possible. It makes you stronger. You can solve every issue when you are in front of a new shoe, a new material. Then you have the way of thinking to solve the issue, to find a way to do what you want to do on the shoe. The key fact is not the painting or the material, it's the creativity itself.
Give us an idea of what special requests you have. You obviously love your fashion, you love your cars, you love your bling. What do you love about his designs?
He can do what I want, what I mean, and that's really special. And maybe I remember I had a green car. It was an Aston Martin, and he did the shoes really great with the sign of Aston Martin in green, and so he can do everything. That's what I like.
So it's an important way for you to express yourself.
Yeah, of course.
So can we see? Well, here's something special. It's after Christmas, but it's the... Wow. That is a serious piece of kit. So let's have a little look here. So what does it say? So you wanted it to so PEA, number 17, your favourite number.
That's my own logo.
Your own logo.
Yeah.
So did you design the logo?
No, Nike did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic with the Nike logo on the back.
Yeah. Great.
So he made you some... Did he make you some boots as well? The reason why I'm asking, because for the show, is that when I played, long time, maybe even before you were born, is that I had black football boots made out of leather with maybe one stripe or three stripes. Now you can do whatever you like. So tell us what you like on your boots.
My favorite color is gold, so maybe gold and some white, something shiny, you know. That's it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Big smile. finished product when you take it to a client, Pierre or Didier Drogba or John Terry, that I know you've made, and they say, this is fantastic, I love it. That must be the ultimate buzz.
Yeah. Much more than having the money for it. Or for me, what is truly important is to know that the client is pleased by the creation. That's the most important part.
My favourite number, I used to play in number 8 for Liverpool, number 9 for Aston Villa, and number 10 at Nottingham Forest and Leicester. And number 10 is my personal favourite number, so Pierre has just added that as well. They look absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Pierre, all it leaves me to say is that you have an incredible gift and talent for making football boots something special. Ronaldinho, Didier Drogba, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Wish you all the very best in the future. And I'm going to send you some black leather football boots and see what you can do with those.
Of course.
We'll be back after this short break where I interview former Liverpool teammate John Barnes. Stay with us. The 1986 World Cup in Mexico was a historic tournament for England. I sat down with Liverpool legend and good friend John Barnes to discuss that tournament and his memories of playing for the Three Lions. JB, delighted you can join me on the Stan Collymore show. I want to talk to you about the 2 World Cups that you played in. Give us the background to Sir Bobby Robson, the great late Sir Bobby Robson, calling you up originally to that 1986 squad.
Well, first of all, I started obviously playing for England in 1983. So come 1986, I was a fairly well-established member of the squad. I think that if you speak to people who are, first of all, just getting in and around the squad at the time of when people are being called up, then it's a question mark as to whether they're going to be called upon or not. I'd been playing for Watford at the time, so I was not, the superstar Liverpool team. But I'd been playing for 3 years, so I was a regular member of the squad. But you still feel a little bit, nervous because everybody wants to play in the World Cup. We'd missed the '84 European Championship, and I wasn't even thinking about the World Cup. I'm thinking about Watford. How well we're going to do at Watford. I knew I was going to go, unless I got injured. Were you told as much by Sir Bobby Robson? He did, because he looked me in the eye and he said, "Luther, you're definitely going." "Oh no, boss, I'm John Barnes."
John Barnes.
No, he didn't tell me as much. But as I said, it was really interesting back then because the squad really picked itself.
What do you feel the expectations were from you, the group, the quality of the group, the manager and the nation going into that World Cup?
When you play for England, as you know, they're always unrealistic expectations. They always expect you to overachieve. They always expect you to win because you're English, rather than looking at the quality of other teams and being realistic about it and talking about maximizing the potential you have. And if you maximize the potential you have, yes, you can win, but more likely you could get to a quarter-final, semi-final, and then if you play better teams, they can beat you. And also, what really helped England back then, which really changed post-1990, is the laws of the game and the nature of the game whereby you can be physical. We knew that we could get stuck in, but mainly because of the way football was back then, from the laws of the game perspective, we would be able to defend well. We don't have to have 50% possession. We could have 30, 40% possession. Defend well, we can work hard, and then get the ball in the box, and Gary Lineker will score.
Fast forward out of that group, thanks to the Lineker hat-trick, Paraguay win, Argentina. 4 years after the Falklands War.
Well, of course, you are well aware because Bobby, and we all love Bobby, and Bobby's team talks always revolves, of course, if you know the history of the British Empire, Bobby's team talks always revolved around remember the war. Now, of course, when you're playing against Germany, that's very obvious. But of course, you've had the War of Independence against America. You've had the Crimean War against the Russians.
Gary Lineker always talks about his kind of Churchillian speeches.
You've had the how many wars we had against French, 100 Years' War. So no matter what, people don't understand, think, well, it must be just against Germany. You know, England fought against everybody. So, of course, the Argentinian Malvinas. But of course, what you also have to understand, I always felt this because when he played for England, I never ever actually said it, but a lot of the talk was, we talk about the Churchillian speeches that were made, but also from people like Terry Butcher, you know, Brian Robson, Ray Wilkins.
My mate always used to call Terry Butcher a tin hatter, you know, the Tommy hat and going in the trenches and the bleeding
He used to headbutt the wall and say, they shall not part, and he's a real warrior. And he also bought into this whole thing about England and the British Empire and what have you. But I always felt, well, why should it mean more for us to play for England than it meant for the French or the Germans or the Tunisians or the Algerians to play for their country? And of course, in that respect, particularly having lost a war, for example, and feel hard done by because of the nature of things, it nearly should probably mean a bit more to the Argentinians to actually beat us. You know, I went along with it because I'm a young lad who doesn't, you know, want Terry Butcher to headbutt him. So we said, come on, Terry, let's get stuck into these. But I tell you, I must admit that throughout that, Diego Maradona is my favourite player of all time. And in the warm-up was really funny because, you know, in the warm-up you have two halves of the pitch and you're all on the pitch warming up. So, of course, we're on warming up. And, of course, as we're warming up and outside passing the ball to each other, everyone's just having a little look to see what Maradona's doing, and he's just by himself in the middle of the pitch, just kicking this ball up and doing things with the ball. And he came into the middle, in fact, he went to the centre circle and he got the ball. Now, for anybody who knows how to juggle, anybody who doesn't know how to juggle, this won't make any sense to them. But he was juggling the ball. But when you juggle a football, you juggle the ball probably about 3 feet in the air.
Keep it rolling.
Yeah, but he's kicking the ball 30 feet up in the air. Kicks it 30 feet. As it comes back down, he kicks it straight another 30 feet up in the air. He does it about 10 times, which is impossible to do. You know what I mean? You can barely juggle it. Whereas if he's got to come down 30 yards, to kick it straight in a straight line, and after about 10 times, he just caught it on his arm and he just looked at us and he just walked off. So back then, we all just went, okay, here we go. I was on the bench. I sat on the bench and I watched him throughout the whole game. So to be honest, we all saw the first goal, which is the handball. We all got up straight away. And we saw it. We couldn't believe that the linesman didn't see it. And of course now you speak to Reedy. I was with Reedy the other day, and Terry Butcher and people like that, and they want to kill him and they hate him. I've got no issue with that whatsoever. My issue is with the referee. However, his second goal, and I have to say, it took every inch of restraint in me not to get up and celebrate. Because when he picked up the ball and he started to run, I was on the bench and I was like that. And as he was going, I was like that. And when he went round the keeper, it took every inch from me, because how can you not admire a goal like that?
1990, do you feel that the 90 squad was better than 86, and did you go into the 90 tournament with a lot more confidence as a team and as an individual?
I think that the 90 squad had more experience because we were all maybe 4 years older. And of course we got some young players like Gazza coming through. Platty came in, but of course Platty only got in because Robbo, which we all know how Robbo got injured now, with his toe, and everybody was out pissed and he broke it. You must have heard that story. Yeah. So no one knew at the time. That's how Platty got in, or Platty wouldn't have played. So we felt, even then, we went into it with a level of humility to know you're a good team, and yes, with a bit of luck we can go through. And in fact, we needed a bit of luck to get where we got to. So we never went there overconfident. England never did. And that comes with having the experience of understanding the nature of the English press and the expectations of the English public. We really fought as much against the fans and the press. When I talk about fighting against them, fighting against their expectations.
Started every game on the bench in 1986. Started every game in the 1990 World Cup, right the way through to your injury. What are your memories of the group? I was never fit. You know, I had an injury towards the end of that season, and while I started every game, until when I came off in the Cameroon game, didn't play against Belgium, it wasn't right. I could feel it wasn't right, but Bobby wanted me to play. And he kind of like played me up front, played me wide, but I was never fit. And once again, it was the same thing. We never started particularly well, but we still had enough experience in the squad, although, you know, Robbo was out. So, but that year, when you have a character, as you know, like Paul Gascoigne, everything just goes out the window, because Gazza really, you know, with his youth and his naivety, really just pulled us through, and it was just a marvel watching what he was doing. Not necessarily, the performance against Germany was a great performance, but in the earlier performances, he was good, he was okay, but it was just his character around the place, around the dressing room, and of course he took all the attention from the press, from us. How do you deal with that kind of like bundle of energy in a dressing room? You cross your fingers.
and you try and keep an environment and an atmosphere which is a positive, happy environment for him to perform, knowing that, like that, everything could change.
You got injured, you came off at half-time against Cameroon. Did England underestimate the opposition in that game? Their athleticism and their skill on the ball and their kind of pure joie de vivre, the way that they played.
When I went off at half-time, I knew my tournament was over. I don't think we underestimated them because, don't forget, I'd said before that even up until that period of time, the laws of the game were such that we could be overly physical with teams. The difference with Cameroon is that you couldn't be physical with Cameroon because they were equally, in fact, they were more physical. They were huge, they were strong. So we lined up for this Cameroon team, and Terry Butcher, they were late. So Terry Butcher were headbutting the ball, screaming. It was unbelievable, the atmosphere. But because of where we played, you couldn't actually see them. You could hear them before when they came around to join us in the tunnel, and we're saying they're late, they're a disgrace, shouting and screaming, or people are like. All of a sudden, it was like Zulu Dawn with Michael Caine. We heard them chanting, singing, coming around the corner, going, and all of the lads, and then they came around the corner, and they're coming out, all they needed. Ever seen Zulu with Michael Caine came walking down, and they're huge, and they came running down, shouting.
Did Terry Butcher put his red coat on?
Everybody just went like that, didn't they? They stood alongside us, someone stood there, and we went, all the best. They were a big, physical, strong tie, so we couldn't intimidate them physically, and technically, because don't forget, a lot of the players played in France. As much as, you know, they're from Cameroon, but all of them played in France. They were technically proficient, they were strong, they were naive. That was the only thing.
What did you think overall when you got back home? My mates went down to Luton Airport and the 300,000 people that turned up to greet the team. The expectations were probably exceeded. A first World Cup semi-final since 1966, a fourth place finish. You were already an established, seasoned international and one of England's best players. How did that World Cup affect you, albeit with an injury?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, it was different for me because I wasn't, you know, because of my injury and, of course, when I came off. So, and you know what it's like. Sometimes you really don't feel part of it. You know, and of course, the celebration really was for the Germany game because we played so well. We could have won, and of course, with Gazza's tears, and that really was it. So I kind of like felt a bit of an outsider because I knew that the injury I had I didn't do myself justice in that World Cup. I was pleased that the country did well. And it's really interesting because even then, 86 was the same, although I didn't play in 86 till I came on, and even then when I was injured, we all wanted each other to do well. Stan, you know what it's like. When you're not in the team, it's like when you don't want the team to do well or you don't want your player in your position to do well. But I can really say the harmony in that 1990 and 86 squad was the most important thing. England have done really well, and Barnes, you're part of the team, and we did well, so well done. But I knew that the next game, if I didn't play well, they'd be on my back again. So I kind of like was a little bit reserved in my joy.
What's your favourite memory? It could be on the pitch, off the pitch, over those two World Cups.
Watching Maradona play. And I suppose, you know, Gazza's announcement, announcing himself to the world in what he did, and some of the stories about Gazza, because I saw Thomas Berthold, funny enough, and he's the player Gazza kicked when Gazza got booked, and they asked Thomas, which is just a complete typical Gazza situation, because everyone thought that when he kicked him, that Gazza was like saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're running ahead," and then he went like that and started hitting Gazza, and he thought, well, Gazza's saying sorry, so just accept it. But Gazza told him what happened, and I asked Thomas, and I said, Thomas, is this story true? And he goes, yeah. Gazza kicked him, and it's only Paul Gascoigne's mind that can work this way. So Gazza, and he told me the story, he said, well, when I kicked him, he said he was screaming like a baby in his Geordie accent. And he said, I saw the referee coming over. And he said, if the referee hears him screaming, he's definitely going to book me. But if he doesn't hear him screaming, then he may not book me. So I'm going to squeeze his lips. So he was trying to squeeze him
to shut
him up. So everyone thought he was rubbing his head. And Thomas Berthold goes, yes, he was trying to squeeze my mouth. I don't know what he was doing.
Brilliant.
And it's only Gazza who could do something like that.
John, as always, erudite, fascinating, and really appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, mate.
That's your lot on the Stan Collymore Show this week. Join us the same time next week when I chat to World Cup winner Patrick Vieira. Come on!